For an entire decade, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were at war. First in college, then on the biggest stage in the NBA Finals. Every time they faced each other, they pushed the game to a whole new level. But somewhere in the middle of all that pressure, all that fighting, something unexpected happened. They became brothers. So when Anthony Edwards looked straight into the camera and said players from the old era weren't athletic, that the game back then wasn't exciting, that those legends couldn't keep up with today's stars, he wasn't just talking about a generation. He was coming at Larry Bird. And that's when Magic Johnson stopped smiling. Stephen A. Smith has known Magic for over 30 years. He's seen him handle billion-dollar businesses, media drama, and ownership battles without ever losing that famous smile. That's why Stephen A. wasn't shocked by what Magic said back to Edwards. What caught his attention was the way he said it.
He said it.
For him to take that tone in the harshness in which he said it lets me know he was highly agitated by what Ant said. Because normally Magic is a lot more diplomatic. He's a lot more PC. Yep. Now, behind the scenes, it's a whole different argument. But he's a lot more diplomatic. Right. He's a lot more diplomatic.
Highly agitated is not something people usually say about Magic Johnson. This is one of the most positive people sports has ever seen. A man who could lose the toughest game of his life and still shake your hand with a smile. But Anthony Edwards found a way to break through that calm. Not because of what he did on the court, but because of what he said. See, Edwards didn't just criticize the old generation. He took a shot at Larry Bird. And if you come after Bird, you're coming through Magic first. To understand why this hit Magic so hard, you have to understand what Larry Bird really means to him. Not just a rival, not just another superstar. Bird was the other half of a story that helped save basketball itself. Together, they took the NBA from struggling for attention to becoming one of the biggest sports leagues in the world. And Magic made that crystal clear when he sat down on First Take.
Larry Bird and I knew what we had to do. He knew what he had to do for Indiana State. I knew what I had to do for Michigan State. And I think we put the madness in March. And then these other guys just took it and ran with it. We both came into the NBA and changed the NBA because we brought in a different style. Both of us brought in a different style, and we both played for historic.
Before Magic and Bird came along, the NBA Finals weren't even shown live on TV. Games were played on tape delay because people simply didn't care enough to watch them in real time. Then two kids changed everything. One from Lansing, Michigan. The other from French Lick, Indiana. And suddenly, basketball became must-watch television. Lakers versus Celtics. Showtime versus toughness. Flash versus fundamentals. They didn't just represent legendary teams. They brought those franchises back to life. Every superstar playing in today's NBA, including Anthony Edwards, is standing on a stage that Magic and Bird built with their own hands. And Edwards just called that stage boring. That's why this feels bigger than a normal debate between generations. Magic isn't protecting his own legacy here. He's protecting Larry Bird's. Because Bird wasn't known for crazy athleticism. He couldn't jump like Michael Jordan. He couldn't move like Magic. But none of that mattered. He destroyed teams with his mind, his skill, and a level of competitiveness that almost felt insane. Larry Bird is proof that basketball has never been only about speed, jumping, or athletic gifts. He became a legend without the physical tools people today think are required for greatness. So when Edwards brushes off that entire era, he's also brushing off the very thing that made Bird special. And when Magic jumped on Byron Scott's Fast Break podcast, the tone completely changed. This wasn't polite. This wasn't friendly. It sounded like a warning.
About Anthony Edwards a while back, who had some things to say.
Right. About the old school heads.
Right. Yeah, about the old school heads. And again, you youngsters, you know, y'all better.
They don't know.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Just chill out with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, you're going to run up on one of these old heads and
Get hand.
Coming from Magic Johnson, a man known for smiling through everything and never talking tough. Those two words hit hard. They don't know. And the scary part was, he wasn't finished yet. Because once Anthony Edwards' main argument came up, the idea that players from the old era weren't athletic, Magic's whole energy changed. He started naming legends one after another, like a judge reading out charges in a courtroom.
And then this summer, ain't nobody athletic ever been in the league, and nobody could jump and all this. I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? Don't attack all the old school guys when you haven't done your homework. First of all, there have been athletic guys. First of all, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Dr. J.
Yeah.
Kobe. Dr. J.
Yeah.
Kobe. Clyde Drexler.
Yeah.
I can keep going.
Yeah, it's a lot of
guys. David Thompson, even before all of this.
Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Kobe, Clyde Drexler, David Thompson. Magic kept firing off names one after another, and every single one landed hard. But pay attention to one thing. He never mentioned Larry Bird. Because he didn't have to. Bird's greatness was never about jumping the highest or running the fastest. It was about winning. And that's where Magic hit Anthony Edwards the hardest. No championships at any level. Not in college. Maybe not even in high school. Yet somehow, Edwards is the one talking down on legends and acting like their era meant nothing. Meanwhile, Larry Bird won 3 straight MVPs, 3 NBA championships, 5 trips to the finals. And he did all of that without elite speed, crazy hops, or the athletic gifts Edwards talks about so much. Bird beat people with his brain, with his skill, with his hands, and with a level of confidence that backed up every word that came out of his mouth. Nobody understands that better than Magic Johnson, because for 10 straight years, he had to stand across from it. So when a player who hasn't won a title starts dismissing all of that history, Magic took it personally. Not for himself, but for Larry Bird. And even with all that frustration, Magic still gave Edwards respect where it was deserved. Because unlike Edwards, Magic doesn't throw disrespect at an entire generation.
But I'll answer his questions when he wins some championships.
Right. He's the most exciting player to watch in the NBA. If you look at Anthony and you look at Ja, they're probably the two. And then
the most
of
exciting
course, Kyrie.
player
Those
in
are
the
three
NBA.
I can put.
That praise came from Magic Johnson himself, a man who played with Kareem, battled Larry Bird in one of the greatest rivalries ever, and watched Michael Jordan take over an entire era. So when Magic says something like that, it means something. He sees Anthony Edwards' talent. He knows the kid is special. What he doesn't see is the wisdom, or the resume to back up the trash talk. And then Magic shared something nobody expected him to reveal. A private conversation with Michael Jordan in Europe. No reporters, no cameras, no audience. Just Magic and MJ talking basketball behind closed doors.
And I was with Michael Jordan not last summer, summer before last. We ran into each other in Europe. And he says, Irvin, I don't know why these guys, because if you look at his record, he almost played every game like 5 or 6
Jordan
times
was privately asking
throughout
why
his
so
career.
many
He didn't miss
stars
one
today
game.
sit out
He
games.
played in every game.
This is
We
a man
wanted to
who
play
played
in every
almost
game.
every single night for years without taking breaks. And Larry Bird had that same mindset. Even when his body was breaking down, he still showed up. Night after night. Game after game. The pain didn't matter. The exhaustion didn't matter. Back then, playing through it wasn't called being tough. It was just the expectation. Nobody celebrated it. Nobody made a big deal out of it. That was simply the standard. And then Magic told a story about himself that almost sounded impossible to believe.
Pat Riley or our trainer, Gary Vitti, had to make sure that they said, no. B, don't put on your uniform. Don't come sitting on that bench, because you would want to play because you want to play for your guys and with your guys. He made me wear
You
and stuff.
he wouldn't let him put his uniform
Exactly.
on
His
when he
own
couldn't play in the
trainer
game
had to literally
because he
take
knew
his
he would
jersey
tear the damn
away
jersey.
and replace it with a t-shirt because they knew exactly what would happen. If Magic Johnson saw a game he could play in, even injured, he was going to play. No discussion. No hesitation. He would rip off anything they gave him and try to get back on the court anyway. That kind of obsession doesn't come from skill or practice. It comes from something deeper, something almost unreasonable. And Larry Bird had it too. Michael Jordan had it too. That was the real difference in that era. Not just talent, but a mindset that refused to sit out. That's what turned great players into champions. But not everyone agreed with Magic's take. Gilbert Arenas came onto Gil's Arena and pushed back with an argument that made people stop and really think about it.
My Ferrari is faster than yours. Yeah, yours was top shit in the 80s. If we race today with your version and my version, the governor has changed, the wheels has changed, the brakes has
Training has
changed.
changed.
So my car
Nutrition
is
has
naturally
changed.
just
Even the way the game is played has evolved. And on the surface, Gil's point makes sense. But that argument didn't sit quietly for long. The pushback came almost instantly, even from people sitting right next to him.
I respect it.
And that's why KG and them felt the way they felt about the shit. They like, hold up, bro. It was a.
I respect it.
And that's why KG and them felt the way they felt about the shit. They like, hold up, bro. There was a lot of niggas that had real skill back then. If you're gonna be a student of the game, nigga, study the game. Don't ignore what had
repeated for a reason. Because Gil's car analogy sounds good at first, but it breaks the moment you look closer. A faster car doesn't prove the old driver was weak. And it definitely doesn't prove he couldn't handle the road. Larry Bird played through pain that would end most players' seasons today before the All-Star break. That's not a car issue. That's a driver issue. And the truth is, the old drivers weren't backing down from anything. Magic brought it all the way back on Byron Scott's podcast. And this time, he tied it to something bigger, something the entire league should be paying attention to.
Worried about.
It's still about one thing, and that's winning.
Winning.
Yeah.
No matter what.
He didn't
state of the
need
game
a long
right now.
setup. Just
And
one
you
word,
mentioned-
sharp and direct. Yeah.
Winning.
Yeah.
No matter what.
The state of the game right now, and you mentioned a little bit about the 40% decline in viewership, and you mentioned a little bit about the 40% decline in viewership.
Right.
Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how where is it going?
40%.
And that's number one.
That
And number
number
two, how
hits
do we
different.
get it back?
The NBA is losing fans, and Magic is pointing straight at the reason. In his eyes, it all connects. When highlights matter more than legacies. When sitting out becomes normal. When young stars start talking down on the people who built the league. The audience notices. And slowly, they start to leave.
And they walk away.
Show respect. Just show respect.
I don't want to ever go at nobody.
Right.
That's not who I am.
Right.
But if you're going to attack us like, oh, the game was not high flying and as exciting and so on, then I got to come back. So, but I'm still a fan.
Yeah,
and I still watch him because I love his attitude. I love a fan.
Yeah,
and I still watch him.
But here's the part nobody really wants to sit with.
His attitude.
The player's magic is defending paid a price this generation can't fully understand. Larry Bird's body broke down so badly that his career didn't end because he quit. It ended because there was nothing left. Magic's career was changed forever by things that had nothing to do with basketball. And Michael Jordan's drive was so extreme it pushed away a lot of people around him. These weren't just athletes playing a game. They were giving everything to it. Their health, their peace, even their bodies. All of it got sacrificed. So when a young player with no championships dismisses that entire era just because he can jump higher, it feels like he doesn't really understand what he's talking about. And that's what hits the hardest. That's also why Magic reacted the way he did. Not because he felt personally attacked, but because Larry Bird was. The man who didn't have elite speed, didn't have elite explosiveness, didn't look like a physical freak, but still controlled the game with pure IQ, skill, and a refusal to lose. Magic spent a decade trying to figure him out and didn't always win. So he knows exactly what Bird was. And he's not going to sit back and let someone with no championship experience act like none of it mattered. Magic Johnson isn't stuck in the past. He's someone who lived through one of the greatest rivalries in sports history, built respect inside it, and saw it change the entire league. That rivalry helped reshape college basketball, the NBA, and even how the sport is broadcast today. It's the reason the game looks the way it does now. And in Magic's mind, that legacy isn't something to dismiss. It's something that earned its place.